everyone, I'm Miss Gabby and welcome to today's episode of the Try-Brarians. As part of our Trash to Treasure series, we are taking some household objects that you use in your daily life and that might end up being recycled, thrown away, or just forgotten about, and we are giving them a new purpose. So we are what we like to call upcycling some items. So in this episode, I am going to show you how, and also experiment, because I haven't done these either, with making some upcycled bird feeders. So my mom always feeds the birds, right? She knows all the different kinds that live in our area and what they like to eat and how to feed them properly and all this stuff. So it was always really cool to be able to, at any time, look out the window in the backyard and see a bunch of birds. So I'm going to take some items that we might have otherwise thrown away and turn them into bird feeders. So the first one I'm going to show you is supposed to be really simple. I found this tutorial on letgrow.com. So all it uses is some canning lids. So just the rim part, not the part that kind of seals it together. And if I've already done the step where I tie string around the lid so that it'll hang from the feeder, I have 2 lids prepped and I hung them at different lengths just to see how it goes. And I just used embroidery floss because that's what I have a lot of. I don't know how it will hold up if it ever rains on these feeders. But you can also use twine, string, whatever you have around the house, right? That's why we're upcycling. So I just looped it around the lid and then tied a nice knot in it at the end, nice and secure, so that it'll hang from the bird feeder. All right, so next comes the part where we need to make what the birds are actually going to eat. So I have my little recipe card here, and I'll be sure to put a still screen in with this recipe so that you can pause it and go from there if you're going to make this at home. So in this bowl, I have 3.5 cups of bird seed. You need to buy this. You can buy it almost anywhere, Walmart, Home Depot, Fleet Farm, things like that. They'll have it in the gardening and bird section. You can also buy it at a pet supply store or anything like that. This is just, I'm gonna go with generic bird seed. I don't know, it was in Mom's garage. The next thing I'm going to add is a 1/2 cup of water. Okay, and then 3/4 cups of flour. So I've got that right here. And now, most of the times if we're baking, we're going to be very careful with our flour measurements. This is literally for the birds, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. Excellent. And then the last ingredient in this one is gelatin. So this is the part that makes Jell-O stick together, right? But you need it to be unflavored. The birds don't actually want lime green Jell-O. Maybe they do, but we're not gonna give it to them just in case. And it comes in little packets like this. And this recipe calls for 1 packet of gelatin. I'm just gonna sprinkle it on there. I did not know it came as a powder. This shows you how often I make Jell-O. And then we're gonna stir it all together. And it is supposed to be sticky. It's supposed to get thick because we want it to stick together in our canning lids. So I'm just gonna mix that up. Going to add just a touch more water because it's not sticking together the way I need it to. The instructions that I found said it should be kind of like the consistency of chunky Play-Doh. So we will see how that goes. So now I am going to scoop and kind of squish it into my canister lids here. And you'll notice that my canister lids are sitting down so that the part with the ledge is touching the pan. And my pan is covered in parchment paper to help keep it from sticking to the pan itself. So we're gonna, I don't know, just scoop it on there, I guess. And kind of smush it so that it fills the lid. That was clearly way too big of a scoop. So I'm gonna take everything that doesn't fit and put it back in the bowl. It is sticky. All right. If you've been watching these videos by now, you'll know that I make a mess during every single project. All right. Take a smaller scoop. Oh, it really is sticky. I'm kind of squishing it down. You can't quite see. Let's see. There we go. Scooping and squishing until it is mostly even with the edge of the lid. Okay, I'm gonna call that good. Now, as you can see, there is a lot left. However, it's kind of hard to split a packet of gelatin. You can't really only, hi guys. You can't really only use half of it. But what it said was that after you have hung them outside and the birds eat the seed, you can just refill it. And apparently you can keep this in a refrigerated container. So that's what we will do also. So once these are prepped, and you can use as many canning lids as you have to spare. Once these are prepped, they need to sit for at least 12 hours before you can like pick them up and go hang them outside. So we're gonna let these sit. Good night to this project, and we will check on it tomorrow. So while our other bird feeders are drying, you know, all of the seed is sticking together so that it dries and we can hang it, I'm going to make a second type of upcycled bird feeder. This one, you can basically use any type of empty container. There were so many ideas out of like a gallon jug, a water bottle, a dressing jar, a jelly jar, an upside down teacup, right? There are so many options. But I happen to have an empty like milk carton. So I'm going to use this to make a bird feeder. This is really easy, I hope, because the only supplies you really need are the carton, an X-Acto knife or a utility knife like I'm using, some string that will hold up hanging it outside, and then of course you'll need bird seed to fill it with. But all you're going to do is you're going to take your milk carton, make sure that it is rinsed out, right? You don't want any dried milk stuff when you're working with this or to put outside because it'll turn really gross. So make sure that it's cleaned out and as dry as you can get it before you start. I have the cap left on because that'll help just make it sealed so that if it's hanging outside, rain and things like that won't get inside it and then make it a mess of the bird seed. So all we're going to do is cut a rectangle in two opposite sides. So you can either do, right, but on the opposite sides. So when you're using your utility knife, your X-Acto knife, always cut away from you and make sure you are being careful because it is sharp, okay? Just good reminders out there. I'm gonna flip it to the exact other side and do the same thing. It's not perfectly straight, but I don't think the birds will care. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut a very small X about here and here on the top, what I've determined to be the top, so that I can thread some string through it, and that'll help us hang it from the pole. So as you can see, it's kind of bending now that I've taken out the walls of it, so be extra careful for that part. Okay. So I put it down on this side, and then I'm going to come up through the carton on this side. And tie them together at the top. And of course, you can adjust the length of your string before you tie it in a knot to make it for the bird feeder that you, to make it hang to the right height for the bird feeder that you have. So you'll want to hang these either on a branch, or if you have hooks outside or anything like that. So there we have this. And then I'm going to fill this bottom part with birdseed. If you wanted to get a little fancy with yours, you could of course decorate the carton before you put it outside. You could also cut one of the bottom parts, leave it a little higher, and then fold it down so it makes kind of a little ledge for the birds to sit on. That might be cute. They might appreciate that, we don't know. But now it's time for us to fill this up and go hang it outside. And it should be almost time for our other bird feeders to be dry and also ready to hang outside. So let's go take a look at those. All right, now that we've finished our bird feeders, this one is all nice and dry, it was time to hang them outside. So as you can see, we've got our milk carton full of birdseed. Here's a tip that I just learned while filling this. I would leave more on this bottom part, make that ridge higher, so you can fill it with more birdseed. And then this is the one that we added the gelatin to so that it stays like that. And there you go. I hope the birds are hungry. See you next time.